Welcome back guys to Packed With Flavour, where we open up a booster pack and take a look at all the flavour goodness that's inside. Today we're opening up a pack of Guilds of Ravnica. Whilst this set wasn't technically part of a block, it does partner with the next Ravnica set, Ravnica Allegiance, and both the planar setting and the storyline is continued in War of the Spark, so yeah, I think that's a block, right? A lot of thought was put into Ravnica's seasonal setting this time around, with the previous set, Return to Ravnica, being set in the summer. We now come back in the autumn. The days become darker, the shadows and muted rain clouds giving a wash of melancholy to the set. We also see influences from film noir, highlighting the general sense of unease and mystery felt by the Ravnicans as the plans of Nicol Bolas ahead of War of the Spark start to take shape. The artistic director for the set was Cynthia Shepherd. Let's get cracking! First up we have Barging Sergeant, art by Philip Berberin. Mentor is the Boris mechanic for this set, and it really fits the all for one and one for all guts and glory ethos of the Legion. Berberin's art is an apt depiction of this mechanic as well, with the Minotaur Sergeant leading his fellow Legionnaire into battle, the flavour text voicing his rallying, if slightly hyperbolic, orders. Also we see the first hints of autumn in the set, with the bunched orange leaves in the courtyard. Disdainful Stroke, art by Durachenko Alexander. The blue-black Dimir are often considered to be the most lawless and shady guild, a direct opposition to the blue-white lawkeepers of the Azorius, their relationship starkly represented in this piece with a Dimir agent slashing an Azorius law scroll. However, much to many's surprise, the Dimir's lack for information gathering and circumventing the often oppressive authority of their rivals became instrumental in uncovering the extraplanar threats to Ravnica during this set's storyline. Skyline Scout is up next, art by Paul Scott Canavan. Canavan is quickly becoming a household name in Magic, and this was only his third commission. He commented on his Twitter account that not only was he thrilled with how this piece turned out, as the final piece was almost unchanged from his initial sketches, he also was really pleased with the added flavour text as it fit his character exactly. Next we have Spinal Centipede by Sezao Chen. This card perfectly encapsulates the green-black Golgari Swarm's adherence to the life-death cycle of all living things. Whilst the flavour text adds a cheeky reversal to the status quo of humanoids wearing insects remains, its mechanic of adding a 1/1 counter to a creature when it dies shows us that, unfortunately, a sense of irony won't change this insect's fate. Cullportus Vine, art by James Pack. This seemingly bog-standard common hides fun and layered flavour throughout. As defenders are designed to do, the plant forces your opponents to have to play a longer game and hold off any fast aggro strategies. But if you, the controller, activate the ability to sacrifice the wall and cut down the vine blocking your path, you can draw a card and take a shortcut through your deck. Command the Storm, art by Jason Rainville. This card's flavour text alludes to Ral Zarek's unknowing part in Nicol Bolas' plan to trap planeswalkers on Ravnica. Ral has been trying to escape Bolas' machinations since he first encountered him when Ral was just 17 years old. Disguised as a human, Bolas turned Ral into an enforcer and in return gave Ral money and security. Since his spark ignited during an enforcer mission, the Izzet Mage has tried to get away from those days, not knowing all the while that he's playing right into Bolas' plans. Next up we have Celestia Locket, art by Winona Nelson. It's really cool to see Nelson use this simpler alternative design for the Celestia symbol. It adds a depth and realism to the world of Ravnica through the idea that it's not just one version of its symbology that's used at a time, fleshing out the guilds as ideologies rather than just brands. We see this version of the symbol and the shape of the locket itself in another card by Nelson, Joined Shields. Darkblade Agent by Joe Slucher. The mechanics and flavour text of this card are wonderfully linked. I've seen your house, and you've been a lovely if unwitting host. But at last it's time for farewells. Surveil, the Dimir mechanic in this set, lets you gather information about the top cards of your library. When the Darkblade Agent spots the information it needs, it changes from Quiet Observer to Deadly Assassin, taking what it came for. Maniacal Rage, art by Hyunwoo Cho. Whilst the Gruul clans are not the focus in this set, instead making their main appearance in Ravnica Allegiance, it's a clever piece of world building to include the Gruul card here, especially one that is sowing the seeds of dissent that will soon bloom into full riotous destruction. Rhizome Lurcher, art by Matthias Kollross. Undergrowth is a key Golgari mechanic in this set and is perfectly suited to the Swarm, encouraging you to use your resources and fill your graveyard, only to use those resources again in new ways, in the case of the Lurcher here, by getting pumped up with +1/+1 counters. It's what the Golgari is all about. Thought Erasure, art by Anna Steinbauer. A key card for showcasing one of the overarching aesthetics of the set that pays homage to 20th century detective novels and film noir, such as 1944's Double Indemnity. The use of shadow created by light pouring through the Venetian blinds is a classic trope of these genres, with the Dimir agent filling the role of the femme fatale and the dissolving memory spell stepping in for cigarette smoke. This motif isn't only found on Dimir cards. For example, the F&M promo for Lavinia, Azori's Renegade, is another strong example. This sense of paranoia and unease leading into War of the Spark is also heavily explored in the short stories accompanying the set, written by Nikki Drayden. Conclave Tribunal, art by Seb McKinnon. McKinnon's style, the dark tones and flat backgrounds, is well suited to this piece, showing us that the all-welcoming Guild of Love and Peace is perhaps not as benevolent and joyous as it would have you believe. In fact, the Guild has a history of censorship against those who would speak out against them, and is shown to have zero tolerance to outsiders who do not embrace their ways. This is an apt reflection of their white colour identity, strength through community, and community above all else. This in turn is why many on Ravnica refer to the Selesnya as a cult rather than a true religion. Inspiring Unicorn, art by Evan Abinson. Whilst unicorns do appear on many different planes in the multiverse, they are almost always a rarity to that world. As the flavor text explains, there are two lives, the life you live before you see a unicorn, and the life you live after. Amundsen's art also shows us the effect this creature has on its surroundings, the golden light of its mane and pink hue of its horn giving a reprieve from the bleakness of the alleyway. Divine Visitation is up next, art by Victor Adame Minguez. A light-hearted matchup of art and mechanics in this powerful mythic. Much like the visitors of this fountain, any players expecting bird tokens will instead be met by Boris angels. Also, look at this art. Minguez's radiant sunset picks up the autumn leaves beautifully, and also acts as a herald for its flight of angels, fulfilling their duty as protectors heading into the long night. Boris Guild Gate is up next, art by Titus Lunter. Each of the gates in this block come with two versions, each with a different art and flavour text. One has a wide-angle depiction of the gate and a quote from the guild's leader. The other, a more intimate art with a quote from the guild's champion. The quote often shows different sides of the guild's attitudes concerning current events. As we see here, Tajik of the Boris League espouses a rather cynical sentiment towards his fellow Ravnicans, whilst Guildmaster Aurelia takes a more hopeful and altruistic stance. And lastly, we have a 1/1 soldier token with lifelink. This is another example of how even the seemingly peaceful guilds of Ravnica are now stepping up their military forces amid the paranoia cultivated by Nicol Bolas in an effort to enact his master plan. Prior to this set, the Selesnya would create worms, birds and centaur tokens, with the Boris traditionally creating the militarized soldiers. But now the Selesnya are the ones boosting their army, readying themselves for the war to come. And that's the pack. It's really clear to see why Ravnica is such a fan favourite plane. Each of the guilds has such a strong identity, and yet the world building team is able to evolve and change the plane every time we go back there. Let me know in the comments below, guys, what your favourite flavour pick was from this pack, and if there was anything that I missed. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Also check out our full-length podcast, Magic the Flavouring, where we discuss everything Magic flavour design and lore found wherever you get your podcasts. Also check us out on Twitter at MTFlavouring. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.